Stani. How are
Hi
you doing?
everyone.
Welcome from India and Indonesia. This webinar is particularly targeted to people in Indonesia and Southeast Asia as well. We have participants from India, I think from
Oh,
Malaysia as well, and Singapore also joining in. We still have 1.5 hours to go. We have 85 people logged in and more to attend now. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me first give you a very quick introduction about Stani. As you must be well aware, in the recent month that Stani's token Aave is doing fantastic, and I think Stani, you are right now on number 11 or number 12.
yeah, kind of. Yeah, I basically look at the metric of the TVL in DeFi polls, for example, in terms of like how big the protocol itself is, and we have roughly like 1.2 to 1.5 billion worth of assets locked in the smart contract. So I think it's the third biggest decentralized finance protocol at the moment.
Fantastic. So yes, everybody is quite anxious to hear you speak. I think in Southeast Asia, this would be your first presentation in Indonesia region, or have you done before?
I've done few before over the past 3 years. I did a Blackarrows. I
That's
think
our company.
yeah, 3 years ago. I think so.
They're
2017.
the earlier one, the
Yeah,
earlier one.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, yes. So I should say welcome back and good to have you with us, ladies and gentlemen. I now give the stage to Mr. Stani, and Stani, you can take the stage. You have your PPT prepared, or you're going to do an impromptu session?
Yeah, I will basically I will share my screen. Just
Yeah, you can do that. I'll leave the stage. I'll hand over the stage to you. Take care. All the best.
thank you so much. Yeah, just a second. I will set up the presentation. All right. So, do you all see the screen? Nice, pretty cool. So yeah, so my name is my name is Stani Kulechov, and I'm the CEO and founder of Aave, and Aave is a basically a project that is developing a decentralized protocol called Aave Protocol, and this protocol is something that is running autonomously and self-executing in the Ethereum blockchain. And as a project, we started over 3 years ago. I think we started to build our first lending protocol in 2016. It was called basically ETH which is short for Ethereum lending. And that was the very like first version of this kind of like a blockchain based lending system on smart contracts and kind of like the very beginning of DeFi. And back in those days in 2017 beginning when we launched into testnet and later mainnet, there wasn't the decentralized finance per such. There was one exchange, decentralized exchange called EtherDelta. There wasn't stable coins. There wasn't much of activity and neither a ecosystem. And today the status quo is completely different, and this is like quite amazing to see. And yeah, so we're going to talk about blockchain adoption in implementations in globally, and it's kind of interesting because I will present a bit like how Aave is looking at adoption. Adoption in terms of like not just like beyond decentralized finance users, but also adoption in mainstream Southeast Asia, especially in Indonesia, and how we could achieve it, and what we're doing product wise and community wise to go to that direction. By the way, there's quite a lot of people here, 82 or something. That's pretty impressive and nice to see. Yeah, so let's get started. So I will quickly show what is the Aave protocol and how it works to give some basis on and then on how how uh, how we can actually get new users and adoption. So Aave protocol is a money market protocol. So in this picture we see this kind of like a pies, and those pies are money markets. So the protocol itself is a set of smart contracts that allows to create those new pies, those new markets, and each market has a reserve of assets. So, for example, the Aave main market, it has assets of, let's say, DAI, USDC, USDT, Ethereum, wrapped Bitcoin, and so forth. So it means basically that you can deposit those assets into the market, and then you can earn interest on those assets, which is pretty cool thing, because then you don't need to just hold your, let's say, Ethereum or your stable coins or Aave tokens or whatnot, but you can actually earn yield on them, so you get interest. And then there is other people who are borrowing these assets, and what's cool about this is that there's always more people who are depositing, which means that there's less less people who are borrowing, and that means that if you deposit now, you could also withdraw the next block or tomorrow or later today, because of the fact that there's always like a reserve. And that's the kind of like beauty of this pooled model, where it's not peer-to-peer one-on-one lending, and that's pretty cool. Yeah, so then we have other markets like the Uniswap. I don't know how many of you guys know like decentralized finance and Uniswap, but it allows you to, when you deposit to Uniswap, you get in return this kind of like liquidity provider shares, and you could use those as a collateral and deposit into this other reserve. And it's kind of like a good example, because like in the future there will be multiple markets at Aave, so probably there will be in close range 5 to 10 different markets. They have their own risk parameters, how much you can borrow, what kind of assets you could deposit, and so forth. So this is pretty interesting system. And in this picture, you see when you deposit DAI, you get in return a DAI and so forth. Those are called A tokens, and I will go talk about them. And they're very important in terms of the adoption part. Yeah, so this is like good example, like how the total lock value, which is like if you go to DeFi Pulse, you see this metric used quite frequently. So it means like how much value you have locked in the smart contracts. So in our case, we started the protocol early January. I think it was 8th of January, and have grown substantially since then. So this chart shows pretty much like how the growth has been going, and like how many people are basically using Aave, and also like decentralized finance in general has been growing like as a blockchain ecosystem. And this chart is interesting because it shows like kind of like how many DeFi users as well we are getting, and it's quite fascinating chart, because the growth has been substantial, and this is just like 9 months of progress. So definitely that's quite a lot. And one of the main money markets that we have, it has roughly from 1 to 3 to 1 to 6 billion worth of market size. So the market size is different than the locked value, because this shows how much value you have in smart contracts locked. So how much people are trusting your smart contracts. But then this calculates also the borrowing demand. So in this case, the locked value plus whatever is borrowed. And you see like different assets now in this main reserve. You see there is like DAI 37 million, borrowed 17 million. So you're earning, when you deposit DAI, you're earning 2.35. And these rates, of course, fluctuate depending on the utilization and the supply and demand and so forth. But it's an interesting kind of picture in the sense that you can actually earn, in a permissionless way, one of those currencies, and that's pretty cool thing. This is the Uniswap market, which is a bit smaller because it supports only the version 1. And in the future, we're looking to create maybe 5 to 10 different markets. So each market that is created, they always have this opportunities, because here you have USDC at 1.55, and then you have 1.59. So there's different kinds of arbitrage opportunities within the market. So I guess, like, when we have a new market, there might be different kind of risk parameters, which means that you can earn more, or it might be more conservative market and you might be earning less, depending on the risk that you are subscribing into. So the protocol itself is quite decentralized also on the access point. So there is over like 50 ways to access Aave Protocol. Because it runs autonomously, anyone can just build a front end and just access to it. So you could access Aave through MyEther wallet, Alpha wallet, basically Status, Monolith, and there's so many integrations, and this just shows like kind of like the idea of decentralized protocols. The access points can be built on from anywhere. That's the beauty of the permissionless kind of like a technology. Yeah, so it's quite nice nice progress here. And so A tokens is quite interesting thing. So when when you deposit assets into Aave, DAI, USDC, Ethereum, Bitcoin, and all the assets that we support, what happens is that after your deposit, you will get in return a token, which represents your deposit into the protocol. And this is kind of like your receipt, right? So what's cool about this is that that receipt that you get is basically your receipt for the permissionless savings account. So basically, you could transfer A tokens to anywhere, and whoever has A tokens can actually get the underlying of the of the asset. So let's say you deposit USDT, you get a USDT, you send it to your friend. That means your friend can actually get that USDT and the interest as well. So it's a permissionless savings account, and we created this token quite interesting way, because the token itself represents your underlying, so what you deposited and what you earned in the protocol. And it's interest-bearing token in the sense that the balance of your token is growing algorithmically. So let's say if you deposit 100 DAI, what means is that basically that 100, when you get 100 ADI, that 100 ADI balance will increase periodically in your wallet every seconds. And so, example, if you refresh Etherscan on your balance, your on your address, you see your balance growing all the time. So it's super cool and fascinating thing, because like you get instantly and permissionlessly your kind of like savings and interest yield, and it's practically USD nominated, and it doesn't stop increasing when you send to your friend, and you can redirect even that interest. But what's the main point here about A tokens, and when we think about adoption, is that like using DeFi, decentralized finance, it might be difficult to newcomers. It's super easy. I even tweeted about this yesterday. Like once you get into DeFi, like you have MetaMask, you're using Aave, you're using Uniswap, then things are super easy. You can you quite easily could sell, buy tokens, deposit them into Aave, and so forth. But for newcomers who do not know about, like, let's say, MetaMask, and are getting into the system, and understanding different protocols that might be more complicated. So what's interesting about adoption and A tokens is that you actually don't need to deposit into Aave to earn yield. So you just need to buy this A token. So when you buy A tokens, what it basically means that once you buy it, the interest rate increases, and the balance of that A token increases in your address, and that is super interesting in that sense. So what it allows actually you to do is that you kind of have this permissionless savings account, which is in USD currency and gives you yield. So imagine if you're from a country like, let's say, Venezuela, Brazil, Indonesia. Like in many Southeast Asian countries, you might not get decent yield on USD nominated currency, and you might not want interest yield in your local currency because there might be so much inflation that the opportunity just is lost in that sense. So this is a way to actually bypass like banking system that doesn't work, saving systems that doesn't work, and permissionlessly access to capital, like global capital, with just holding this token. And that's super amazing. That's something that kind of like we're expecting to take off at some point even more widely. Yeah, and I would also say that the A tokens, like the amount of holders in A tokens, is growing quite a lot. This is from snapshot taking from the Gnosis Safe, which is a multi-signature wallet, and it basically means like A tokens also are getting more traction as using them as a treasury. So this pretty much means that if you have A tokens as a you have a lot of funds, or you have a company or whatnot, holding your funds in A tokens, ADI or so forth, it's way more smarter because one, you have basically automated treasury management, so your treasury is earning for you all the time and directly to your address. So that's like a very big thing, so it's becoming like quite popular in that sense. Other stuff we have in Aave is so-called flash loans, and flash loans allows basically users or like developers to borrow 100% under collateralized loans, and even like the whole liquidity that we have, like 1.5 billion and so forth. And you have to only return. The only condition is that you need to return the loan in one Ethereum transaction. And what it helps actually to do is that you can create different kinds of products. For example, if you arbitrage, refinancing, or for example, collateral swap. And what's interesting about the flash loan is that usually it's a tool for developers, but it helps them to build products without needing capital. So in practice, you could build a product which refinances your loan in between, let's say, Aave and with another lending protocol, or and without you returning the loan. So, for example, imagine you basically you have Ether, you put it as a collateral to borrow, let's say, DAI in some other lending protocol, and then you saw better rates at Aave, for example, in USDC. And so what flash loan allows you to do is that even if you spend that DAI that you borrowed, you can take a flash loan, basically close your loan in that other platform to take the Ether and put it into Aave, and then draw the USDC, which is a cheaper rate. So it's kind of allows developers to build more products without having using too much of a capital. And how for the end users, this means that end users can actually enjoy those products what developers are building, and there's less capital required. And because the way that Ethereum works, so it's not just only permissionless, how to say, like permissionless access, but it's also permissionless building. So any developer could actually build things. It could be in Indonesia, other places in Southeast Asia, and build this kind of like a new products in that sense. The flash loan volumes have been grown quite substantially. So I mean, there's these days, even I think past 9 months, there's over like $500 million worth of flash loans. So this is pretty interesting to see. Yeah, one other thing that how we're looking to scale in terms of adoption is this so-called credit delegation feature. So as we remember in the beginning of this particular like the markets where depositors are depositing into the protocol, some of the the depositors aren't borrowing. So let's say roughly 75% of the depositors, they are not borrowing from the protocol. They are just earning interest rate, which is fine. And what credit delegation allows people to do is that they can actually delegate that credit line when they deposit to someone else. They could delegate it to a friend or to a company, or they could just delegate it to a smart contract that does some kind of predefined function, and that is really cool thing. And for example, you could delegate it to a smart contract that basically farms some currency and then at some point repays the loan. And because we already know what the those smart contracts are doing, and they cannot be changed because they're immutable, that practically means that there is no credit risk, and that's quite a cool thing. And yeah, so pretty simple scenario. And for the depositors, it practically means that the depositors can actually earn more. So you are depositing into, let's say, Aave DAI, you're earning, let's say, 2 to 4%. You delegate your credit line. Someone else borrows, let's say, Ether, and they pay you more interest rate because of the delegation. So it's pretty cool. And there is a YA Link vault called Wired, which is using credit delegation, and they have borrowed today 20 million USDC worth of value, and they're basically farming with those stable coins and generating yields. Yeah, and then, like, if you look at all the money markets, we have so-called like Aavenomics, and where our kind of like tokenomics are helping the adoption in the sense that all of these new money markets, they always bear risk. There is smart contract risk. For example, if there's bugs or there's hacks might happen, or failed liquidations, or there's always risks when you build smart contract based systems. And what the our tokenomics works is that our token holders can they can stake their Aave token into this so-called safety module. And in case there's this called shortfall event, for example, failed liquidation or smart contract bug, uh, that stake is practically slashed, in the sense that it's used to compensate the depositors. And so the stakers are earning to provide safety. So there's like Aave based governance, where the token holders are deciding upon these risk parameters, and at the same time they're transferring the risk to themselves to make this kind of like a insurance for the depositors. And also, if the stake doesn't cover, there's this protocol recovery function where the Aave token can be minted, and the deficit can be covered. So the why these Aavenomics and the staking is important is because if we want more adoption, we want more people, institutional retailers, to participate into the ecosystem. In that case, we need to ensure that their funds are safely secured and insured. And this is like very big part of the whole ecosystem, that we are using our token economics, and our token holders are supporting the system and securing it. And that's kind of like providing security is what the blockchain is. It's what Ethereum is. It's not just transaction fees. It's providing security for transaction fees. Same goes with Bitcoin. It's all about security and safety in that sense. Now we're moving towards decentralized governance, which basically means that everyone that basically is part of the Aave community, holders and so forth, they're voting on changes. So the team doesn't decide on major changes. It's actually the governance. So anyone, any part of the world could participate in making discussions, proposals, and voting on different kinds of changes. And we have now our token migration from Lend to Aave, and almost half of the tokens are migrated. And then we're creating new money markets. And if you're a developer, you want to build something on Aave, there's docs.aave.com that could help you. And we have also a Discord channel that you can join and participate in discussions and help us build new stuff and all kinds of interesting things going on. This is the team. Almost all of us, 22 persons working at Aave. We're known as the Avengers, and here's our QR code to our Telegram community. And this is pretty much the presentation. I can check if there was some questions related to.
Stani,
Yep.
we have some questions. If you can just exit your presentation, I would like to ask the gentleman to come on the screen.
Yep.
Mr. Rudy. He has a very interesting question. Let me see if I can get him on stage. Thank you for your presentation, by the way. Aavenomics sounds quite good. And, or would you, if I don't get him within 2 minutes, I can read the question to you. Mr. Rudy has asked, how do DeFi tokens generate value? Also, how blockchain is able to offer interest on borrowing crypto? And what are the risks?
Yeah, in terms of like DeFi tokens, I mean they're governance tokens. So I mean like it really there isn't any general formula on how like the DeFi tokens generate value at all. I mean you need to look always like what the token allows you to do or allows you to participate in. And in the Aave token and Aave community, it allows you to basically govern the Aave protocol. So you're governing something that has roughly 1.5 billion worth of value locked in, which is basically assets under management, and also like a protocol reserve, which is part of the incentives that we are distributing to the token holders, liquidity providers, and also like the community members. And in terms of like token economics, in our model, like it's kind of like an insurance in the sense that you're using the Aave token to provide safety for the protocol and earnings. So the more the protocol grows, the incentives are priced in a way that the safety module is growing as well in that sense. So there's this like positive feedback loop that when there's more adoption, there's more basically assets that needs to be insured, and kind of like that's the value proposition that we have. But at the end of the day, it's all about governance and voting on the protocol.
Okay, I have one more question coming up from Tarindra Raditya. Let's get him on stage for the question. Tarindra, you there?
Hello. Good afternoon.
Yes, Tarindra.
Yes.
Go ahead with your question, please.
Right. Thanks for inviting me on stage. Hello, my name is Tarun Raditya from Bandung, Indonesia. Actually, I'm still a beginner in the blockchain industry, but I want to ask. So, a friend of mine is doing commodity trading business in fishery sector, and now he plans to do exporting activity in near future. So the question is first, whether international buyer demands for traceability on fishery sectors. And the second one is, will it increase the profit margin if he provides value-added traceability through blockchains? And the third one is, does it cost a lot to implement blockchain on fisheries? So actually, this case is similar with the blue korinchi of Emurgo, with the previous Murasaki-san presents. Yeah, that's all. That's all my questions. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I mean, traceability is interesting because traceability is also transparency in the sense, and authenticity. So I think like those are like when you are buying goods and and you need to have the data on where the goods come from, or you need to understand like the path. That is like valuable information, and being able to securely present it in a, let's say, in blockchain and cryptographic form, that is indeed value added. I think like it's also kind of a way of like you could use blockchain and in terms of like the security that it provides, whether it's traceability, transparency, in a way that it allows more kind of like a yield, but also it allows cost savings. I mean, there are companies that are looking into, if they understand and can trace where the products are coming from, who are the middleman, they're happy to subscribe into that kind of a value proposition compared to a value proposition where they don't. So they might be able to pay more because of the security used. So I definitely think it will be value added, and yeah, or it might be cost saving, for example, in terms of like insurances in the future.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for answering that, Stani. Do we have any more questions? I think Maria wanted to ask one short question. Stani, what are the difference of DeFi tokens as compared to the other tokens? That was a very short question she had.
Yeah, I mean, DeFi tokens, they are usually governance tokens where you govern the protocols. But I cannot speak about every token because like uh, there's the issue that you always need to look at the underlying and what kind of rights it gives you to a token holder, how it works in the community. Because just to say that something is DeFi, it might not even be completely accurate. So that is why it's important not to think DeFi as general, but look at the projects, what they're doing, and do research. Like in everything, it's very valuable to educate yourself before.
I totally agree with you. We have to do our due diligence on this and take a record track of the company, who is it, what is the project about, who are the people behind it. So it's my suggestion to everybody today joining the program. We have a lot of options out there right now, as in the regular tokens and the DeFi tokens. But do your due diligence, look into the project, see who are the people after it, and then go into your judgments and analysis. So, Stani, thank you so much for being with us today. It was wonderful to hear you speak about your company and what your token is doing. And I'm sure we will connect with you more on the Indonesia sector. And once COVID opens up, we will call you on our offline program to come personally and deliver a session to the audience in Indonesia. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.